Last time on Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
John had this way, we'd go to the clubs or the bars or whatever, a social event, and he was so intent on, coupling, as Odo will say shortly, that he had this look on his face, and it was kind of like when you have a cat who is outside and pressing against the screen window of your front door because it's hungry. So I always called John the hungry cat.
It's the hungry cat look.
The hungry cat look.
And now the conclusion.
And who's going to be paying for all this holosuite time? I guess I am.
Wormhole does bring them our way, doesn't it?
Everyone wants a piece of the new frontier.
And I'm sure you've already tried to sell it to a few of them.
We made the decision.
You don't know what any of this is about, do you? You work here. You see these people every day, how they live, and you just don't get it.
Unless you got wax in your ears, you're listening to Audio Umox, the premier Star Trek Deep Space Nine podcast. I'm your co-host, Simon Van Gelder, joined as ever by my erstwhile friend and companion,
John Christopher.
John, so good to have you here. I'm so excited to talk screen door, back jab, cross patch, hairy knuckles. Screen door, cross patch, hairy knuckles.
Yes. So you have aphasia.
Screen door. At Jalad.
Submarine. On Tanagra.
Ate up.
Soup sandwich. Okay. I'm sure we're enjoying this far more than the listeners.
Well, it's just part of. I feel better now. Thank you. You must have said the safety word. I feel better. Welcome to episode 6. Today's episode is Babel, and it's an interesting episode. And as you alluded to, it does focus on aphasia, and we're having a little fun with it. Aphasia is actually not a funny thing to happen to you. I actually used to work with people who had strokes who were struck with aphasia in real life, and it's a very You all right?
Yeah, sorry. That was the Tranya. Sorry, I've gotten ahead of myself.
We'll get to the Tranya, but aphasia is actually a very scary thing in real life, and it's very difficult. So please, we're not making fun of people who have aphasia, but Babel, this episode does focus on that, and John's going to get to that. We're going to get right down to it. I'm not going to do a whole lot of exposition here and chit chat unless John changes my mind.
So the one thing, let me interrupt from the previous episode. We did talk about cross patches.
Yes.
I looked up the etymology of cross patch.
Right.
And really the origin of the word is cross, meaning cross, against, and patch was in, I believe, Middle English, was a word that meant a fool. So to be a cross fool is what cross patch is. So it has nothing to do with gardening patches, as I had mentioned before.
Or a soul patch.
Or soul patches.
Or flavor saver.
There we go. So just to clear that up, I apologize for my poor word origin assumptions from previous episode. We'll move forward.
I believe no apologies necessary. We need to get into the episode.
But first, the trend.
So you go first. What do you, if you're here with me and drinking with Commander Baylock of the Thessarius or whatever his name is, basically Clint Howard, what are you drinking?
So this is my take on a sidecar. I am substituting a delicious Jamaican brandy. Had a few drabs of that left.
Oh yes, from our trip to Jamaica, my friend.
Yes, that's plus some triple sec and a bit of lemon juice just to take the edge off. Yeah. Shaken well and served in a old fashioned glass.
Is it tasty?
It is tasty. It's nice. It's very sweet and has that, of course, hint of orange and lemon. The citrusy flavor takes the edge. They take the edge off the brandy. But the brandy is actually great on its own.
It is
not very easily available here in the States, but something that you should definitely pick up along with your bottle of rum when you go to, if you ever go to Jamaica.
I preferred the brandy to the rum in Jamaica.
Yes, yeah. I did as well.
And
you?
And me, I am actually switching it up from my usual martini. I am actually having, we had a wine party. I don't know if you've ever had one of those. That's where you basically invite all your friends over to come over, and if you're the host, you get all this free wine, and then your friends they put the arm on your friends to, after they taste a bunch of wine and get a little tipsy, to buy wine. We did that last night.
Joining the wine of the month club of some sort.
We didn't go that far, but we did order more than wine than I probably wanted to. But I'm drinking tonight. I'm finishing off a bottle that was started last night. It's actually a lovely bottle of Cab Sav. It's a Cape Root South African Cabernet Sauvignon, 2016. It's got a really fruity, rich dessert taste. It's got a very desserty taste to it.
So it's not a blood wine?
It's not a Klingon blood wine, no.
I was thinking of South Africa more than the Klingons, but...
Oh, like a blood diamond. I got you. See, that joke worked on several levels. But I finished it off, but I'll tell you, it's got a nice nose to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a winemaker, you don't want to blow your nose when you're making wine. You don't want to blow that. So it's pretty tasty. So that's the Tranya for this evening. Likely I won't slur my words as much as I usually do with this.
Good. Since all the cast is slurring their words, it's best if we try not to.
There you go. Well, please take it away, my friend.
So we'll dive in. As Simon mentioned, this episode deals with aphasia. This is we'll cover how they get it and how they conquer it and all the fun in between. So the show opens with our good Chief O'Brien serving as kind of, he's really the building manager. He's acting as kind of the landlord and facility manager more than he is the operations manager, because it seems since they've joined the station that everything is going wrong, top to bottom, and poor Chief O'Brien is left to fix everything, to the point where wishes he's on a drone vessel so everyone would stop bitching, basically.
Well, we've all been there, right?
we have been. I was just thinking, that movie Castaway. What's the problem? As long as there's enough food, just keep...
Yeah, what's the
I'll just stay. What's the problem? You got the beach, you got the sun, you got your solitude. Anyway.
Yeah.
So a funny part at the beginning is Chief O'Brien's dealing with these two people, three or more people trapped in an airlock, running out of oxygen.
Right.
So I'm assuming a space that size, they probably have a couple of hours, and O'Brien and a couple of his staff are working to free these poor people stuck in an airlock, when along comes a Boslik freighter captain named Jaheel.
Wasn't he the villain in Aladdin?
No, no, I believe that was Jafar. That's right. Jafar, Jaheel. Maybe it's his brother. This guy comes up looking much like one of the Geico cavemen. Had a beard similar to my beard in college. Very
wispy.
It's very patchy at best. It was Patchy Adams looking beard. And then awkwardly, I don't know if it's because of his height or because the guy was trying to get a recurring role. You know, it was early enough in the series where he thought maybe if I act it just right and add some intrigue to the character, they'll bring me back. He doesn't make eye contact at all.
He's got this 1,000-yard stare. He's like looking past Cisco the whole time.
and O'Brien, everyone he comes in contact with, he's staring at their cheekbones or their shoulder blade or something like that. So here we go. So this guy apparently has some cargo that's got an expiration date. So he's carrying milk, and if he doesn't get out of the station quickly, the milk's going to spoil.
Right.
Yeah. So, of course, O'Brien's like, I'm doing the best I can, and gives it the old, you're on the list, and we'll call you when your table's ready. So there you go. So that's what happens, and this guy's going to come back to haunt the entire station here later. But that was our first encounter with Jaheel, the Geico caveman.
The Geico caveman. You know what's funny is if you actually look the actor Jack Keeler up who played him, you'll recognize the face. He's one of those guys, who's been in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you never would have known, from this that he was, but I mean,
done any acting?
Well. Oh my God! Well, he was in The Big Lebowski. He was in Men in Black 2. He was in Lethal Weapon 4. I mean, he's done some shiz.
Nice resume.
He's been in this Amazon series I've been watching the past couple of years, The Man in the High Castle. So it is funny, but you're right. It's such a idiosyncratic performance that it. You know how we talk about how sometimes like remember last time or what we talked about how. If they get too spiffy with their space terms or their measurements of time, that it takes you out of the story because you're like going, well, wait, what is that?
What's he staring at?
Yeah, so that's what I was like. I was like, is he reading his lines off a cue card like he's Marlon Brando? Maybe the makeup is, got him. I have noticed that a lot of people get rather cross-eyed with the makeup, and I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that as well, by the way?
I haven't noticed cross-eyed, but you can tell with some people are more comfortable in their artificial skin than others.
Well, even Kira, sometimes if you see her, it's just weird. I think the center nose bridge does something. Anyway,
right.
It reminded me a lot of Carl Reiner in The Jerk.
I was just thinking about that. Picking out a thermos for you.
Okay, wait, where are we? I've taken us completely out of this. Okay, I'm so sorry.
I don't even think we've gotten to opening credits yet. But okay, so here's what happens now. The whole opening scenes are about O'Brien and just how many problems there are on the on Deep
your
Space
antimatter flow converter, your toilets.
And so he finally goes to ops, to the main area of Deep Space Nine, and and he's yawning. He's trying to fix something for Kira, and then Commander Sisko gets some coffee, and I can't tell if it tasted bad or if it was hot.
This was bad.
Lava.
This was bad.
It was lava, or the replicator could have produced hydrochloric acid. I don't know. Or you don't. You just know that he's.
It could
be part of our opening credits.
It could. That's how bad it is. I mean, it could have been urine for all we know. But I'm sorry. But Avery Brooks on this, it is so over the top because he does it more than once. He does it at the end too.
That's right.
It's. I'm sorry. I think it's like a bad spit take. It's not good.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, he calls on O'Brien. Go fix this. O'Brien has just had enough, and he's like
talking back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was back talking, saying.
He's mocking.
He said, "Oh, can't have the operations chief sitting around daydreaming while there's work to be done, can we?"
Oh ho ho! I'll get right on it.
So, and everyone's like, "Oh, geez, who peed on his cornflakes this morning?"
You know that's not what they're saying. They're all just looking at each other and giving each other the K-Cole look. They're going, "Oh,
yeah,
that's." I mean, it's one word, K-Cole.
K-Cole, that's true.
Okay.
And shut your damn K-Cole!
O'Brien goes up, breaks out his extended barbecue lighter, and starts waving it around to fix everything, and does fix it, but it inadvertently turns on something, and we don't know what it is.
Well, when I wave mine around, I inadvertently turn things on. Something.
Yeah, something.
Don't know what it is, but I do.
Replicators are fixed, but something attached to them is creating some issues, and we don't know quite what that is. Then we cut to, after the credits, to Quarks, and Quarks is just ghost town, dead quiet.
Right.
It's just Quark and Odo sitting there, and a Markalian guy eating some soup and
some alien Dinty Moore.
Yeah, yes.
You could just hear Quark. The replicators aren't working, so you can hear it kind of going, shh, right out of the can.
Right. Yeah. His Dinty Moore colonese stew.
It's like a bachelor chow. Go for it.
Yes. Extra colon. In the colon. I think there's too much colon in this. So for a guy, this Markalian customer, so he's just fed up and starts saying, you got to taste the soup. What's wrong with the soup? Taste the soup. Is the soup too hot? Soup too cold? Taste the soup.
Wait a minute. Stop right there. Listen. Stop right there a minute. Man goes into a restaurant. You listening? A man goes into a restaurant. He sits down. He's having a bowl of soup. He says to the waiter, come, taste the soup. Waiter says, is there something wrong with the soup? He says, taste the soup. He says, is there something wrong with the soup? Is the soup too hot? He says, will you taste the soup? It's wrong. Is the soup too cold? Will you just taste the soup? All right, I'll taste the soup. Where's the spoon? Aha. Aha. What do you know from funny, you bastard?
And then
I sense I have a drop in to put there. Okay, go ahead.
So this part bothers me just a little bit because
you did not meet Markalian the King. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You haven't met Markalian Luther the King. Okay, we've gone off the rails here. So what bothers me here? Quark is so affable when this Markalian is sticking soup in his mouth,
right?
That obviously tastes terrible. Mm-hmm. He's leaning in. I don't know if that's because he's Ferengi and he's trying to make the customer happy, or whether he feels threatened, or maybe he likes the soup. I don't know.
He might like the soup. I notice he's wearing some car seats a la Garrick of Detroit.
Yes, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes, that woven saddle fabric.
exactly. I think they have some of the finest asbestos woven into that. But yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, that's a good point. I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to get it over with.
Maybe.
We've all been there, right? So
absolutely.
So
after that, Odo leaves, the Markalian leaves, and Odo has been waiting to get his replicators fixed.
Odo,
and
or you mean Quark?
Quark, sorry.
No problem.
Quark has been waiting, so he just can't wait any longer. So he decides he's going to check it out and see if there are any, see what's going on. So he goes to the computer, has some little tricks up his sleeve to bypass the security clearances, and discovers that the replicators on the command level have all been fixed, just not his. And
right.
So he uses this as an opportunity to go sneak into an unoccupied quarters and start, get himself back into business. So he's a businessman, so that certainly makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Cut to Jadzia and Major Kira walking along the promenade, and Jadzia is just now trying to get comfortable in her new, quite nubile young skin.
Yeah.
It being the first time she's been a female in 80, 85 years, something like that, over 80.
Wow.
So they're kind of chatting back and forth when Quark, having obviously some sort of party, invites the two ladies to join. Major Kira begs off, but Dax decides, hey, what the heck? I'll getting free drinks from men is like again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Not bad. Not bad.
No.
I'll take it.
I admire her moxie.
Yeah. So she's embracing her new self, which is kind of cool. Just be comfortable in whatever skin you're in.
Right. There you go.
That's that soap commercial.
Yeah, there you go.
So okay, so now we get back to ops. Now we're going to start getting into the meat of the issue, and back in ops, Cisco and O'Brien are talking. Cisco's real happy because the replicator's back online. Everything seems to be working fine. When all of a sudden he begins to become unable to speak properly.
kind of like you just now.
Kind of like me. Exactly.
Flame the dark true salt whaling. Complete strike. Limits victory. Frosted wake. Simple hesitation.
So I don't know if you've researched a little bit about how they came up with those words, but I found that pretty interesting. I did a little back research on it.
Oh.
What the scriptwriter did, you probably know who that is off the top of your head. I do not. But
this is actually the first story that Ira Stephen Bear, who later became the showrunner, did. The teleplay was by others, but it was partly his story.
So the concept was to make the aphasia believable and not just sound like gibberish.
Like I did at the beginning of the show, right?
And like I do all the time.
Very good.
It was he wrote what the people were supposed to be saying, and then he would change the words so that they were either similar sounding but different, or a similar number of syllables, so that so that the meter of the phrases sounded like what they were trying to say, but it was something completely unintelligible.
Right. Which is done. It was done effectively because it's uncomfortable for the viewer. It is.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So O'Brien, having been the first to be exposed to this virus, is the first to come down with it. We don't know at this point that it's a virus, but he has aphasia. So they walk him down to Dr. Bashir, and he's trying to figure it out. And he understands that it's a form of aphasia,
right?
But cannot link it to anything, a head trauma, anything that would typically be a cause of aphasia.
Right.
And as they're discussing this, as they're having this discussion about aphasia,
Right.
Jadzia Dax starts aphasing herself. Is that a proper word? Aphasing?
She becomes aphasic. Aphasing, I don't think
Aphasic.
yeah. She becomes
Okay.
aphasic. Yeah.
Right in front of their eyes. And so at that point, they're thinking this is something beyond the result of a head trauma or something like that. And Dr. Bashir realizes through further analysis that it is a virus that mimics aphasia.
Right. Yeah.
And so now the key is to isolate it and find a cure.
Right.
So they send people out to find out what the origin of this thing is, tracing O'Brien's steps, going all the places he was when Major Kira finds this device. Assumes, of course, that it is a Cardassian device.
Yeah, I don't want to find a Kardashian device, if you know what I mean. It's not without gloves on.
Yes, it's a selfie stick.
Oh.
So they find this device. After further analysis, determined that it was not a Cardassian device, but a Bajoran device that the Resistance probably planted about 18 years ago when they were building Deep Space Nine, and then they just couldn't initiate it because for whatever reason at that point they don't know. Maybe they got captured, maybe the person who planted it died. You don't know.
Right.
And so they're now trying to figure out this mystery, and quite interesting. Of course, in the background now, this device or this virus is spreading like wildfire over.
She ran calling wildfire.
For half of the Deep Space Nine is suffering from this aphasia, and people keep walking into ops and speaking, and they have to rush them off to. And then even Commander Sisko's son Jake has contracted it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not sure if I'm jumping ahead, but there was just such a beautiful scene between Sisko and Jake when I think that's coming up, but due to this, so we'll get to that. But I love the relationship between Jake and Ben, and I found myself watching this and being moved by it when Jake is afflicted with this and can't communicate, and he's scared, and Sisko sits down on the hospital bed beside him and hugs him, gives him a kiss on the forehead, and tries his best to communicate to him that it's going to be all right. I found that so. Anyway. I love that about Avery Brooks. I think that's all Avery Brooks. I believe I've read that was his moment from moment one of taking the role, and the first time he even met the actor Cirroc Lofton, he was always going to be that way, very paternal, very warm, and I love that scene.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. But I'm sorry, I leapt ahead because I leapt ahead of a scene where the 1,000-yard stare Wookiee.
That's right. Okay, so I completely missed the fact that because this virus is so dangerous and so unpredictable, Commander Sisko is left with no choice but to place the entire facility on quarantine.
Right.
So got to shut everything down, nobody in, nobody out, because this is highly contagious, has mutated into an airborne form. And so here comes Jaheel again with his 1,000-mile stare, and looking for his spoiled milk.
And I wanted Sisko to say desperately, "I'm sorry, are you speaking to me? Because you're
are you looking at me?
You're looking past me. Are you speaking to me?"
Me or This person over here.
Very odd choices. Very odd acting choices and directing choices here. But anyway, go ahead.
Yes.
But wouldn't that have been great? I'm
So
sorry.
he jumps in the middle. That's not the last we've seen of
Tar Heel, right?
Of Jaheel and his basilic milk run. Okay, so then we go to.
Well, Kira's figured it out, and you already kind of covered that she suspects it's the Cardassians, right? So
Right.
Bashir's on the case, and he says, so sorry, it's probably a Bajoran virus, as you mentioned earlier, placed on the station by the Resistance.
Yep.
Everything's getting worse, and O'Brien's getting worse. Apparently, it's beyond just aphasia. The virus is attacking his autonomous nervous system, which is, of course, threatening his life.
Right.
And
right.
You
got about 12 hours now.
Yeah, and where the hell is Keiko? Am I thinking?
Well, so here's what would have been the funniest scene. So this I'm sure was on the cutting room floor. Is that he gets aphasia, or Keiko gets aphasia first while she's bitching at him. And he can't understand a word she's saying, and she just keeps saying stuff, and he just nods his head for like 10 minutes because he's aphasic, or she's bitching and he's aphasic.
Or actually, that his aphasic mind interprets everything she says as polite, kind, supportive.
I love the bell that you got me.
Thank you for that bell that made me feel like an idiot. And but I mean, seriously, it would have been funny, but I don't know.
Yes. So that's on the cutting room.
It's on the cutting room.
Okay. So to your point earlier, we've got like 12 hours before they think that O'Brien will be the first to die, and then the rest will follow suit. So the clock's ticking, and I think that's where Kira's resistance skills start kicking in. So she really starts digging, trying to find who may have been responsible for it. She finds his name. Unfortunately, he's dead. She starts really digging. Okay, that didn't work. Finds the guy who signed the death certificate for him in prison.
Oh, that Sumac guy, right?
Yes, Poison Sumac.
He's very itchy. And, well, maybe it's because he touched the guy who's dead, Decon. I mean, that's a roach killer. But anyway.
There you go. So she's going to go track him down, but of course there's a quarantine. So Sisko's like, no, you can't go down. Of course, you don't want this thing spreading all over. But
Kira's like, don't worry, Captain. I can go down without any mess whatsoever.
I've got a plan. I'm going to, go take care of it. So she grabs the runabout. She goes to Bajor and beams this guy. Make sure he's alone.
Gets Sumac. Brings the Sumac up.
Brings him up. So which on the surface sounds cool, except for the fact that if they don't find a cure, she just committed murder, right?
But she's done a lot worse.
Yeah, she's part of the Resistance, right?
Well, yeah, I'm saying she's
Okay.
very zero-sum game at this point,
And I think she suspects he knows more. He obviously knows more than he was letting on.
The man's name is Sumac. I mean, come on.
Nose chevrons of 3. Leave him be. I've never heard of leaves of 3. Leave it be.
Not chevron. I get it. The nose chevrons.
Nose chevrons of 3. Leave him be.
They'll make you cross-eyed. All right. So meanwhile,
okay. So it's like we're going back. We're going back. Back at the ranch now. Everyone is now getting infected.
Right.
And Sisko calls Odo to operations, and he's like, "You got to help me." Then he becomes aphasic.
Red, the arrive. Seen earlier.
And so instead of taking him to to the medical area. The hospital? It's not a hospital. What do they call that?
Well, it's not sick bay. They call it the infirmary.
The infirmary. There you go.
Yeah. They don't call it a sick bay.
So instead of that, he just puts his head down and decides to play 7-Up right there. Heads down, thumbs up.
Time to play.
7-Up.
But meanwhile,
right
7
there
of 9. It's time to play 7
on the console, as opposed to even going off to the side and laying down or something. But
it's almost as if he could have thrown up into a potted plant. Right. Never mind.
Yes.
But meanwhile,
okay, so
Tar Heel is getting after it. He's like, my whole crew is sick, but I'm not. So he's.
He's got it. It's Christmas. He wants to go home to see his family
in Elmira.
So it's like
he's going to actually. He does look like an extra in the Star Wars Holiday Special.
So he's got to go. So he puts his craft in reverse, but the mooring clamps are on. They're trying to figure that out. This is right before Cisco turns,
right?
And he's still lucid at this point, and that they can't get the mooring clamps to let go. They decided that they were going to let him go and then just beam him back aboard, but that's not going to work,
right?
Or catch it in a tractor beam. That's what it is.
Right.
That's not going to work. And then the mooring clamps are caught because he's got the vehicle in reverse, and and he's burning rubber, and of course starts a fire. Then Cisco's out, and now all you've got is Odo left to save the entire space station from Jaheel, who's going to blow up, I guess, half of the station or something like that if his craft explodes. So
yeah.
So it's a bad day. He gets on the intercom and says, "Hey, if there's anyone around, come help me." And who shows up?
Quark.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's not volunteering, of course.
Hey, he's got the lobes. He spent 8 years on a Ferengi freighter. I think he was the cook, but he's got the lobes. He knows what he's doing. He'll make him pay. Yeah.
He'll make him pay. So it's like, well, let's take care of business now. We'll negotiate a price later. Pretty funny scene when Odo gets on the transporter pad and then Quark reveals that he's watched it done 1,000 times, but has never actually done it himself. But sure enough, as soon as he turns around, he energizes and Odo's there having to get poor Jaheel back in.
Yeah, who looks kind of like a Pomeranian, frankly, now that I think about it.
So he
brings Jaheel to heel.
I was just thinking this was a classic comedic callback technique. So this is the end of the Geico commercial where his ship is on fire, but thankfully he has the insurance, so it's all covered. Don't worry about it.
It's all good. Yeah,
it's all covered. So it pulls him off just in the nick of time. Gets the mooring clamps released. Ship drifts out just far enough to not damage the vessel, and explodes.
Oh yeah, not damage the station. Gotcha. Okay.
The station, right. The vessel itself gone.
It's a total loss, I'd say.
Total loss.
Yeah.
I don't know what his deductible is, but it's a bad day. Although I do know that milk is covered.
Well, there you go. Well, you know what? It was such a bad. It was a pretty bad explosion. It was such a bad explosion you could hear it in the vacuum of space.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, tell me.
So now Kira arrives with her semi-prisoner.
With Sumac.
Yeah, Sumac's got to save the day, and this was a little hokey for me because Bashir had been working on it for quite some time, and this guy just picked up. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, no problem.
Now I remember.
Oh yeah, it was 18 years, but you see one biohazard, one viral terrorist weapon. You've seen them all, and comes up with the antidote in no time flat.
Yeah.
And saves everyone. So
Right.
that seemed a little, kind of wrapped it up in a nice little package a little too quickly. But
Yeah.
but they were down to, whatever, 4 minutes left in the episode, so they didn't want to belabor it, I guess.
I guess not.
So everything's back to normal, and then the final scene, we've got the classic. They did everything except the freeze frame. Classic
Starsky and Hutch freeze frame. Yeah.
90s sitcom where everything's back to normal. Commander Sisko gets a cup of coffee and
O'Brien,
and then everyone turns and O'Brien's got the dumb look on his face, like ooh,
like shrugging and ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, but Brooks is so over the top with this. It's like it's not good. It's not good. Yeah. Okay, so that is mercifully the end of Babel.
Yes. We have babbled enough about Babel.
All right, let's run through it. General thoughts. What did you think of the show? I mean, we can get into the Latinum, or if you'd like, but go ahead.
In general, I thought it was good. I thought the plot line was creative.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was interesting. It's reminiscent of some of the things that any person coming into an occupied area might encounter. In my military experience in Bosnia, there was a huge problem with landmines, where farmers had moved them to protect their crops, and no one knew where they were. They weren't properly mapped, and so it was a ongoing hazard. And this just reveals that in times of war, those type of hazards happen, and they're sometimes not revealed until peacetime. You're still finding in, I believe some of the Pacific Islands, still finding unexploded ordnance from World War II. So it's just, I thought this was a creative way of addressing that as an issue. So that I found creative. I thought some of the loose ends getting tied up so neatly, so quickly at the end, it was almost like they ran out of time and just wanted to finish it up so they could get on to the next episode.
Yeah, the pacing wasn't quite right.
And of course, trying to spend some time on the characters, as you mentioned, Ben Sisko and Jake Sisko's relationship. They're in this very troubling, trying time, revealing that character, that relationship a little better, which I find refreshing. Most of these roles where there's a commander, he's not he doesn't have that paternal relationship, and so that I found extremely refreshing, and some of the Quark and Odo banter was fun. I found that fun. So
they're really establishing a great rapport.
Right. So that's my overall kind of sense of the show. What about you? Anything that you wanted to add?
Just a reminder of what I said earlier. I think the bonding of Sisko's the Ben and Jake. I honestly, when I watched, I was moved by it. I know that might sound hokey, but I was when as we proceed, there'll be a few more episodes where their bond becomes even closer. And if you are a parent, you will, well, if you're a parent like me, you'll identify with that relationship. And when I first saw the series, of course, I wasn't a parent. I was definitely of the mindset that, gosh, do we have to have more kids on Star Trek? But we can go through. We could spend a whole hour on that. But now, as a parent, I respect the relationship even more and the acting choices made. It's so funny because I think Avery Brooks does such a tremendous job with this. But then when he has to do kind of the spit take kind of hokey stuff, it's almost as if he's like, "Really? I have to do this? Right. Really? couldn't Nana do this bit? You know,
Right,
I mean,
right.
I almost felt like he really just did it badly, so maybe that he wouldn't have to do it. But I'm making that up. So I
Right.
think so. I think you're right. You know, I think we both agreed that without even talking to each other previously, that Jaheel was bizarre.
Yeah, yes, he was.
I'm a huge fan of O'Brien, and when he and Dr. Bashir become closer friends, it's going to be more special doing this show with you because their relationship as it matures really reminded me a lot of you and I. But anyway, so I want to say, yeah, it was good. So I'll tell you what, I'll just kind of leave it there. I thought it was a good episode. It was entertaining. I certainly, yeah. So is it my top 10? No. How many bars of Latinum out of how many? Did we
Out of
do?
5.
Out of 5.
I think it was 5. We started with lobes and moved to bars of Latinum.
I was hoping nobody would notice, and probably nobody did. Judging by the downloads of the show, nobody's going to notice. But
so bars up to 5 bars.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one a solid 3 bars of Latin. How about you?
I'm right there with you. Right there with you.
Good effort, mostly well acted, mostly well written. Pacing was off, yada yada. So I'm going to go with that. What about
any quotes? Any favorite quotes?
I
Whaling complete. Whaling complete. I liked when he typed it. He's like, "Oh, okay, I got this. I'm going to type it in the iPad," and hands it to him, and it's gibberish too. That was funny.
That was good. That was clever. No, my favorite line has to be, "O'Brien."
Oh, okay.
I'm just
For me, it's the precursor to the rules of acquisition. When he says, when Quark says, "Never ask when you can take,"
and he didn't name it as one of the rules, did he? He just
no. He said there's an old Ferengi saying,
right?
Never ask when you can take.
Right. That was good. No, that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they dropped charges. It will probably never come up again.
Yeah. It'll just be Deep Sex 9. Was there any Deep Sex 9 for you on this one?
There wasn't. I mean, the closest was the couple of raised eyebrows that Jadzia made when she was about to go into Quarks and
get drink spot for her.
Yeah, get drink spot for her and have men catcall in the 24th century.
Yeah, me too. There was not a whole lot of sexy in the show this episode, so we'll just leave it there.
Yes.
So that takes us out of this episode, and next week, I'm excited to tell you, though, is one of my favorite first season episodes, to be sure, coming up. It's called Captive Pursuit, and I'll just as a little background, there's somebody gets on board the ship, an alien comes on board the ship that they've never seen before. It's a first contact situation, and this alien is like no other alien we've seen before in the series, and this alien is being chased. He is being pursued, and when you find out just who is pursuing him and why, and his attitude about it, it makes for, I think, a pretty interesting episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, again called Captive Pursuit, which is the 6th broadcast episode, and I'm excited to talk about this one with you, John.
Great. That's exciting. I look forward to seeing it. I will be honest. I don't remember the episode, so I may have either never seen it before, which may be interesting, or I when I watch it, I'll be reminded of it. But I greatly look forward to this one.
It's a great O'Brien-oriented episode, and there's also behind the scenes, you know how we've spoken about the casting of Odo? Well, this episode features the third actor, besides Rene Auberjonois and Andrew Robinson, who was considered a finalist for the role of Odo. He plays a part in this episode. So that would be Garrett Graham. So it'll be interesting to have that. Although Garrett does not appear in this episode, it will be interesting to see that. So I'm
excellent.
I'm excited. You know what? We're going to bring this one in under an hour, my friend.
How about that?
If you want to connect with us, let us know what you think of the show. Best place right now is on Twitter at Umox Podcast. On Twitter at Umox Podcast, OOMOXPODCAST. We have an email address, but we're not checking it right now. We might get a Facebook page. Don't know yet. We're going to see. We have every intention of continuing the show. We'd like to see more listeners. You can help us by getting on iTunes and writing a starred review and telling a friend.
Looking forward to it and truly enjoying it, my friend.
Me too, my friend. Until next time, then, the docking ring is closed, and we'll
keep your docking ring wormhole.
If you wear a docking ring, there's something there, but I'm too tired. I'm going to finish off this lovely South African cab, and I'll see you next time, John. Okay?
Thank you, Simon.
All right, brother. Bye.
Bye.